Ever wondered why vulnerability scanning is crucial in pen testing? It's like the cornerstone of cybersecurity, a vital first step in securing any system. Picture this: you're a knight defending a castle. Vulnerability scanning is like inspecting your fortress for weak spots, potential entry points for the enemy. In the digital landscape, these enemies are malicious hackers, ready to exploit any weakness they find. Vulnerability scanning works by identifying these potential weak spots in your system's defenses, highlighting areas where an attack could break through. It's not just about finding these weaknesses, it's about understanding them, learning how they could be exploited, and figuring out how to fortify them against future attacks. By doing this, you're enhancing your system's security posture and reducing risks. You're not just reacting to attacks, you're proactively seeking out and addressing vulnerabilities before they can be exploited. Understanding the significance of vulnerability scanning sets the stage for learning the step-by-step process of performing it. Before diving into the process, it's important to grasp the basics of vulnerability scanning. Vulnerability scanning is a critical component of cybersecurity. It's like a routine health checkup, but for your digital assets. This process systematically reviews systems, networks, and applications for potential security weaknesses. The purpose? To identify, classify, and prioritize vulnerabilities, providing a roadmap for strengthening your security posture. Let's break down the different types of vulnerability scanning. First, we have network-based scanning. Think of it as a security guard patrolling the perimeter of a building. It's looking for weak points in your network infrastructure, outdated systems, unsecured access points, and the like. Then there's host-based scanning. This is more like a detailed inspection of each room within the building. It delves into individual systems to seek out configuration issues, missing patches, and other system-specific vulnerabilities. Wireless scanning is up next. As the name suggests, this type of scan focuses on wireless networks. It's the equivalent of checking all the windows and doors in your building to ensure they're properly locked. Finally, we have application scanning. This zeroes in on web applications, looking for common security vulnerabilities like SQL injection, cross-site scripting, and insecure server configurations. You might be wondering how this differs from penetration testing. Well, vulnerability scanning is about identifying potential weaknesses. It's a broad, automated process that provides a general overview of your security landscape. On the other hand, penetration testing is a targeted, manual process. It's like a staged break-in, aiming to exploit identified vulnerabilities to test how far an attacker could get. Both are essential, but they serve different purposes. Vulnerability scanning is about breadth, penetration testing is about depth. Now that we've grasped the basics, it's time to delve into the process of performing vulnerability scans. Performing vulnerability scans might seem complex, but it becomes manageable when broken down into steps. Our first step is identifying and defining the environment to scan. In this stage, we need to know what we're looking at. Are we scanning an entire network, a specific server, or perhaps just a single application? It's crucial to understand the scope of your environment, including the type and number of devices, operating systems, and applications present. This will help in selecting the right scanning tools and techniques. Now that we've defined our environment, we're ready to run the scan. This is where we employ the right tools for the job. There are numerous vulnerability scanners available, both open source and commercial. Tools like Nessus, OpenVAS, and Nexpose are among the popular choices. Each tool has its strengths and weaknesses, so choose the one that best suits your needs. The scan itself can take anywhere from minutes to hours, depending on the size and complexity of your environment. It's like conducting a meticulous search in a large mansion, checking every room and every corner for potential weak spots. Once the scan is complete, we're left with a wealth of data to sift through. This leads us to the next step, interpreting the results. This stage can often be overwhelming due to the sheer volume of information. However, it's crucial to remember that not all vulnerabilities are created equal. Some may pose a significant risk to your system, while others might be less impactful. It's here that we prioritize vulnerabilities based on their severity, potential impact, and the value of the assets they affect. Now that we've identified and prioritized our vulnerabilities, it's time to take action. This is the remediation or mitigation stage. Remediation involves fixing the vulnerability, which could mean applying patches, updating software, or reconfiguring systems. Mitigation, on the other hand, means reducing the risk posed by the vulnerability without necessarily fixing it. This could involve implementing compensating controls or simply accepting the risk if it falls within acceptable parameters. Finally, after remediation or mitigation, we repeat the process. Yes, we run the scan again. This is to ensure that the steps taken have effectively addressed the vulnerabilities. Think of it as double-checking your work. It's also important to remember that vulnerability scanning is not a one-time activity. It's an ongoing process that should be integrated into your routine cybersecurity practices. So, there you have it. From identifying your environment to running the scan, interpreting the results, taking action, and finally, rerunning the scan, these steps form the core of a vulnerability scanning process. By following these steps, you can effectively identify and address vulnerabilities in your system. Let's revisit the key points discussed today. Vulnerability scanning is a crucial part of penetration testing, or pentesting. It gives us insights into potential weak spots in our systems, allowing us to strengthen our defenses before attackers exploit them. We dived into the basics, exploring how vulnerability scanners function, their types, and the different methods they use to identify vulnerabilities. We then walked through the step-by-step process of performing vulnerability scans, from choosing the right scanner, setting the scope, running the scan, to analyzing the results and taking corrective actions. Each step is significant in its own way. But remember, vulnerability scanning isn't a one-off task. It's a continuous process, an integral part of your cybersecurity strategy. It's all about staying ahead of the curve, constantly identifying, assessing, and mitigating risks. Remember, in the world of cybersecurity, staying proactive is the key to staying secure. Happy scanning!